Somebody recently sent me a game for my channel, and I'm working on that video now. And when I opened the box up, I noticed that was this Avalon Hill catalog from 1997 in it. It is described as their game catalog, and I realized that it might be the last, or certainly one of the last catalogs that was issued under the Avalon Hill name. So I thought it might be of some interest to people to see what's in it. I enjoyed flipping through it, and I'm going to just do that again here. You can see on the cover the sort of mishmash piece of art depicting this fantasy character with some more historical military figures. Kind of reflects some of what they were offering, but there's a lot of stuff in here. And just take a look here at the beginning. Dear game fan, Avalon Hill is celebrating 45 years of creating award-winning games that are challenging and fun to play. We're proud of this achievement and the accolades we've received, but we can't rest on our laurels. This game catalog presents newest games, both board and computer, as well as the classics. And it's interesting to see sort of what is still available here, like some games that are maybe 10 years old that we do consider classics, like Raid on St. Nazaire and others, and what's not here anymore. Table of contents, they lead with their leisure time and family games, moving into historical and military simulation. They have a Smithsonian American History series, great campaigns of the American Civil War, future and fantasy. Of course, their sports and statistical replay games, RPGs, which I think are mostly under the Victory Games imprint, although I don't think the catalog specifies that. Then, of course, they have ASL here, and computer games. The General, which was about to cease publication, as was Avalon Hill, is still offered here in subscription. And they've got their game rating system, the number of players, the complexity, and the playing time. And they describe further how you can interpret the complexity rating on the games. So their lead title this time was Global Survival, Economic Survival in a World Without a Cold War. That's the challenge that faces governments and business and players of Avalon Hill's game of global survival. Now, the prices came separately, and I'm putting them up here. There was a separate sheet that I had that listed what the prices are, so I will put those up just for interest's sake. Stock Market Guru is an updated version of their much heralded Stocks and Bonds game, and their Starship Troopers the movie game, which is not the Starship Troopers, the other game that they offered, which apparently was no longer on offer because it's not in this catalog anywhere to be found. Blind Justice was something that interested me. Now's the time to find out if you've got what it takes to be a lawyer. While the game pokes fun at barristers the world over, it is based on actual cases for players to resolve. That sounds sort of cool. Dinosaurs of the Lost World. And, I apologize in advance if I'm skipping over things that you wish I was reading, but of course, I'm just pulling the things that sort of have interest to me and hopefully to some others. Outdoor Survival. Gain a wealth of information about wilderness conditions and the skills needed to cope with them. This game combines a family game format with Avalon Hill's legendary ability to craft sophisticated challenges. That's a complexity rating of 3 on here. And we have this, Sex Quest and Sexual Q&A. 2 provocative card games where players respond to actual situations and questions as fielded by Dr. Ruth on the air. And we've got no complexity rating or number of players listed for that, so you can make of that what you will. We've got now coming up historical and military simulation games, and of course here's Civilization. That is, they've got that at complexity of 3. This popular game traces the early history of man. This is not a war game. Military conquests play a secondary role in the development of one civilization. Trade, religion, and the discovery and use of such skills and disciplines as metalworking and pottery are essential to facilitate progress from the Stone Age to the Late Iron Age. They've got some expansion kits and advanced civilization. They have, this is the Republic of Rome. This is a game I've been trying to find. You're a member of the Roman Senate vying for your political power while balancing the needs of the state against your desire for personal advancement. If you go too far in pursuit of personal glory, you run the risk of the collapse of the Republic and ultimately your own demise. The game includes solitaire and multiplayer versions, a rarity among games of diplomacy. That's probably true. They have that complexity of 7 and players 1 to 6. Here's Hannibal here. It's new. And we've got now medieval to 19th century. We've got here's wooden ships and iron men. Every type of ship that saw action from 1776 to 1815 is represented in this game of ship versus ship, covering the American Revolution and Napoleonic eras. That's a complexity of 7. And here's We the People. American Minutemen have just fired the shot heard round the world. As the American player, you command the fledgling forces of the Continental Army led by such generals as Washington Greene or the infamous Benedict Arnold, etc. That's a complexity 3, and they also have some expansion cards there. They've got, continuing on into the 19th century, here's Pax Britannica. Toward the end of the century, the great powers of the world vied for wealth and esteem of vast colonial holdings. Each player attempts to control the choicest and most strategic areas while keeping an eye toward encroaching opponents. And we've got here the Civil War. You'll maneuver armies on accurate, detailed maps according to the carefully drawn abilities of over 16 commanders. While you're fighting land battles, naval units struggle for control of critical waterways. Can be played as a campaign or in year-long scenarios. That's a complexity 7. And we've got here 1830. The early railroads were the first great industrial corporations, and the profit, power, and romance of running them attracted the best and worst of the era's brightest businessmen. Players wheel and deal, as did these ruthless real-life manipulators. That's just complexity 5. And here we have diplomacy. Games and Puzzle magazine called it, quote, the greatest board game invented this century. Diplomacy explores the behind-the-scenes maneuvering where so-called statesmen employed deceit, dirty tricks, and broken promises to get to the upper hand in any deal. The game is as much fun and as topical as when it was created over 35 years ago. It has garnered every major game award and been translated into a dozen languages. Wow. B-17. You're flying over Germany during World War II in a speeding arsenal. You encounter aerial combat on your way to your bombing target, but the enemy is little match for your firepower and your durability. The B-17 was known as the Queen of the Skies for good reason. Well-known solo game, obviously. As speaking of, here is Raid on St. Nazaire, still available after 10 years. World War II battle game based on daring British commando raid against German-held French port. That's a complexity of 5. Africa Corps. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's daring exploits recreated in this historical replay of the tactical square-off between General Montgomery and the Great Desert Fox. Complexity 2. Another London's Burning is up here. And here we have, of course, Panzer Blitz, Panzer Leader. Panzer Blitz, all-time bestseller, but for hardcore wargamers only. Actually 12 games in one, each recreating a different battle drawn from the World War II Eastern Front. Now they've got that just a complexity of 6, even though it's for hardcore wargamers only. And Panzer Leader, 20 different games in one package, each a replay of a famous World War II Western Front simulation involving armored tactics for hardcore only. Carrier. The Southwest Pacific Campaign Solitaire, Flat Top, here's a 10 rating in their complexity scale. It was at the Battle of the Coral Sea that the Japanese expansion was first slowed. Guadalcanal was the first major Allied offensive. The battles fought in the game were among relative equals at sea and in the air, and victory went to the best tactician. This high-level military game gives you the chance to match your wits against the best naval commanders. Here we are with Firepower. I just covered that on my channel. Man-to-man combat involving modern-day weaponry and its effects on military tactics and strategy. That's a rating of a 6. MBT is up here. A detailed look at how today's modern weaponry would be utilized in combat in Central Europe. And we've got the Smithsonian Institution American History series with Gettysburg, D-Day, Mustangs, Midway, Guadalcanal. And some great campaigns of the American Civil War. Here's Stonewall Jackson's Way. I just saw someone trying to trade that online. This exciting new design simulates the Second Bull Run campaign in Central Virginia during 1862, which forged the lofty reputations of Southern leaders such as James Longstreet, Robert E. Lee, and of course the heroic Stonewall Jackson himself. Drawn almost exclusively from Civil War period maps, the two 22 by 32 map sheets represent 2,000 yards per hex, etc. That's a complexity of 6. And then we get to the future and fantasy games. Princess Ryan Star Marines coming summer 97. This is, I believe, the last game issued under the actual Avalon Hill imprint name. These Star Marines are the only ones close enough to rescue Earth's young monarch from the tyrannical leader of the Dark Citadel and its elite defending force, the Black Guards. The Star Marines must make their way through an ever-changing battlefield that's loaded with traps, fortifications, ambushes, and seemingly never-ending hordes of Blackguard ground and air forces. This game for the whole family has features to please every player. Apparently not the way people talk about it online, but that's how they were pitching it. Merchant of Venus is here. It is now the 32nd century, 2 centuries after the fall of the First Galactic Empire. The intervening years were characterized by barbarism, but a thriving civilization now exists. You play the part of an intergalactic merchant, and your luck and skill at finding and trading with the far-flung 14 surviving species who once constituted the First Galactic Empire determines how well you succeed. That's a complexity of 4, and it plays 1 to 6. And here we go, Magic Realm, still available. This exciting fantasy game is set in a land filled with monsters, fabulous treasures, and great warriors and magicians. This is a complex game designed to recapture the suspense and desperate struggles of fantasy literature, a patented concept in role-playing. Plays 1 to 18, complexity of 9, and 1+ hours. Yes, that's probably true, 1+ hours. Wizard's Quest. Battle a dragon and orc in this fantasy treasure hunt on the fantastic Isle of Marnon. Plays 2 to 6, complexity 2, Stellar Conquest. I was just had that out the other day. Your job is to command a space fleet of explorers protected by a small number of warships. You must quickly search and locate planets suitable for habitation. Inevitably, you will cross paths with other civilizations intent on their own expansion, and you must be prepared to fight. And then we move on to their sports and statistical replay games covering the major sports, baseball, football, basketball, etc. I'll read you the football description here. When Sports Illustrated calls it, quote, the best football game ever invented, end quote, you know you've got a winner. They went on to say, it's an honest-to-Pete challenge to the man who knows he would have been a great pro quarterback if only he had the chance. It includes Football Widow's Handbook, a simplified guide to the sometimes complex rules of football. And then we get back into the RPGs. We have RuneQuest here and a whole bunch of things for it. And we also have the James Bond series listed here. I just covered some of those on my channel. This actually came out under Victory Games. I don't know about RuneQuest. I'll figure that out by the time the video's up. And here we have double spread here for ASL. American Advanced Squad Leader, the ultimate in realism. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Our crowning achievement and the ultimate war game. No other can match its combination of beauty, detail, and excitement. ASL is a system based on the original Squad Leader game, but revised and expanded so that ultimately a player can simulate any company or battalion level ground action in any theater of World War II. And gives you some notes about what's required to play and the modules they have here. And then again, just more and more ASL offered here. And including Solitaire ASL, all new module for solo play. And then Squad Leader and some modules for that. And then finally, they finish up with some computer games at the back that I'm not really going to spend much time on. And there is, let's see, there is here under accessories, here's the General, which is about to cease publication. Now the largest circulated wargame magazine, includes 60+ pages of articles, hints on play, and historical information on Avalon Hill strategy games. Published bi-monthly, now in its 31st and last year, although they don't say that. A counter tray and apparently some t-shirts. And then finally here at the end, we have AvalonCon, National Board Gaming Championships. Be part of the great reawakening of board gaming. In only 7 short years, AvalonCon has become the place to be for board gamers interested in pursuing their hobby to the highest level. Avalon Hill's back to basics approach has proven immensely popular with gamers who revel in 4 solid days of competition free from the commercial distractions of other game conventions, etc. And then, of course, should you need on-line support, if you have a modem, you can find us on-line at these places. Internet, you can reach us through the internet, CompuServe and America on-line. So there you have it. If it's of any interest, it certainly was to me. Avalon Hill Game Catalog, 1997. If not the actual last one, pretty close to it.